You're about to get a raise. You're pumped. You walk into the store and buy the nicest pair of headphones you've ever owned because why not? You earned it. A month later you're on a subscription you can't remember signing up for. Your rent feels tight again, and your treat yourself habit mysteriously became a new normal. Sound familiar? Hi, I'm Dave, and today I want to show you something that will make you breathe easier. You are not weak, lazy, or immoral for letting this happen. You are in fact perfectly programmed to spend. And that programming was designed by evolution, culture, and $1 trillion industry. If you stick with me for the next several minutes, I'll explain the exact psychological tricks that make lifestyle creep inevitable. And I'll give you precise science-backed moves to flip that script so your money serves you instead of your impulses. If you want more practical brain hacks about money, hit subscribe now and let's get into it. Lifestyle creep sounds like a fancy finance term, but it's just this. Your spending slowly rises as your income goes up until your life costs more and more and your savings don't really increase. The college roommate who got promoted and now has a quarterly massage, pricey avocado toast, and premium streaming that somehow multiplied into 9 different services. That's lifestyle creep. The single cup of daily coffee that became a designer coffee habit, then a new bag, then a whole routine. You get the idea. The scary part is it rarely feels like a decision. It feels like life. Here's the truth that changes everything. You weren't built to be a rational optimizer of future wealth. You were built to survive, reproduce, belong, and feel good now. Your brain's job is to keep you alive and happy in a world that used to be full of immediate threats and scarce resources. Fast forward to today, and those same systems interpret things like promotions, notifications, and glossy Instagram photos as signals to spend. So when your income rises, your brain says, more resources, time to upgrade. It isn't you failing, it's biology reading modern cues through ancient software. Let me show you 7 psychological mechanisms that make lifestyle creep almost inevitable, each one with a very human example. After that, I'll give you 7 counter moves that are easy to start using today. I promise the counter moves aren't judgmental or willpower-only tactics. They're ways to reprogram that same brain that loves immediate rewards, so it starts making choices that help you build the life you actually want. Mechanism 1. Hedonic Adaptation. This is the simplest, most brutal truth. Humans adapt to good things. That promotion, that new car smell, that smartphone upgrade, all of them give you a spike in happiness that fades faster than you think. The newness wears off, your baseline returns to normal, and now you need a new spike. That's why people who move to a fancier house feel no happier a year later, because your brain treats the upgrade as the new ordinary pretty quickly. The result: you keep upgrading to chase a fading high. Mechanism 2. Social comparison and status signaling. From an evolutionary standpoint, how other people perceive you matters massively. Status got you better mates and more allies. Today, status wears different costumes: brands, houses, cars, vacation photos. The trick is social media amplifies it. You're not just comparing to your neighbors, you're comparing to a curated highlight reel of thousands. That constant comparison nudges you to keep spending so you don't feel left behind. It's not shallow, it's social wiring. Mechanism 3. Identity drift. Your spending is one of the most powerful ways you express identity. I am a business owner. I am a foodie. I'm a traveler. When your income rises, it feels natural to buy things that make the persona real. But identity is a slippery slope. A small purchase becomes proof that you belong to that new identity, and then you buy more to maintain the image. The trouble is, identities are sticky because once you've declared them to yourself and others, backing off feels like losing part of yourself. Mechanism 4. Present bias and instant gratification. Our brains disproportionately favor immediate rewards over future ones. That's present bias. You know intellectually that investing a bonus will grow your future wealth, but spending on something you can hold today feels real. Add the dopamine rush of buying and the pain of delayed benefits, and the short-term win wins. This is also why layaway doesn't work as well as buy now. The momentary pleasure of the purchase outweighs the abstract long-term payoff in our minds. Mechanism 5. The dopamine rush and variable rewards loop. Buying things triggers dopamine. The brains pay attention and remember this chemical, but more powerful is variable reward. If sometimes spending leads to a great result, an amazing product, compliments from friends, addictive pleasure, your brain becomes more likely to repeat the behavior. Marketing engineers this with surprise discounts, limited time offers, and reward programs. This is the slot machine logic of shopping. A little unpredictability makes your brain remember spending as exciting, not boring. Mechanism 6. Mental accounting and anchoring. Your brain sorts money into mental categories: fun, bills, investments. That can be helpful, but it also makes you justify unnecessary expenses because they seem to come from a fun bucket you've mentally separated. Anchoring is the pricing trick where the first number you see changes how you perceive value. If the store shows a $3,500 jacket with a $1,200 sale tag, your brain thinks you're getting a steal and suddenly spends without comparing to other priorities. Mechanism 7. Seamless payments and decision friction. When spending requires little effort, one-click checkout, saved cards, subscriptions that auto-renew, it bypasses natural friction that used to slow purchases. Friction is a surprisingly helpful ally in financial self-control. Remove it and the path of least resistance is to spend. Add to that the psychological effect of paying with invisible money, credit, apps, and your brain treats purchases as less costly than they are. So those are the 7 forces nudging you toward lifestyle creep. Notice how few of these forces are about you being bad. They are structural, ancient biology, social dynamics, and clever economics. Now the rewarding part. Each of these forces has a counter that uses the same psychological wiring to help you save, invest, and build wealth without living like a monk. Counter move 1. Reverse hedonic adaptation by building rituals, not purchases. Hedonic adaptation makes things fade. Rituals last. Instead of chasing happiness with new gadgets, craft rituals that create repeated satisfaction without constant upgrades. A monthly dinner with friends, an over-the-top Sunday morning routine, or a practice of learning a skill creates lasting joy. Rituals repackage pleasure as identity and habit, so you don't need bigger purchases to get the same spike. Counter move 2. Reframe social comparison into aspiration, not consumption. Social comparison is inevitable. Redirect it. Instead of comparing belongings, compare trajectories. Who has better savings habits, not who has better interiors? Make public your real wins, like saving for a down payment, so you feel status from financial discipline. Status based on self-control actually signals long-term stability, which is more attractive and more durable. Counter move 3. Identity best money rules. Your spending follows your sense of self, so decide who you want to be and let that identity guide purchases. I'm the kind of person who invests first and spends second, is more powerful than a budget. When you tie money to identity, you outsource willpower to narrative. Instead of don't buy that, you operate from I don't buy that because that's not who I am. Counter move 4. Exploit present bias with pre-commitment. Make the future automatic so your short-term impulses can't hijack it. Set automatic transfers to savings and investments the day you get paid. Give yourself forced cooling-off periods for non-essentials. If you want something over a certain price, wait 72 hours. Present bias loses when you remove the immediate option. Counter move 5. Make spending predictable. Save the variable rewards for wins. Marketers love variable rewards. You can too, but use them differently. Create a surprise fund that you can spend guilt-free and schedule unpredictable rewards into it. That way your brain gets the dopamine hit regularly, but it's controlled and doesn't eat all your budget. Counter move 6. Re-anchor your value perception. Anchoring influences you subconsciously. Counter it by establishing your own anchors. Decide your enough price points in advance. For example, decide you'll never spend more than X for a pair of shoes, or that experiences above Y dollars must be discussed with your partner. When stores show a high strike-through price, your anchor helps you see through the illusion. Counter move 7. Reintroduce friction where it helps. Instead of frictionless spending, create friction for big impulsive purchases. Remove saved cards, delete one-click apps, require a 5-step confirmation for purchases over a threshold. Friction is not punishment. It's a tool that gives your reflective brain time to catch up with your emotional brain. Now let's tie these tactics to real-life scenarios so you can picture them working. Imagine you get a $1,000 raise. Your brain whispers upgrade to your lifestyle. If you spend that $1,000 each month, you've basically given yourself no real gain. But what if you set up a rule? 50% goes to life upgrades, 30% goes to automatic investment, and 20% goes to a fun fund you can spend guilt-free. That math keeps you enjoying the raise now while making sure you're not just living paycheck to paycheck on a slightly higher plateau. The key is making the math automatic and emotionally satisfying. Let me walk through the long-term numbers to make this concrete. Say at 30, you get an extra $200 a month and you spend it. 10 years later, you spent $24,000 and have nothing to show. If you instead invest that $200 a month at an average 7% return, after 10 years you'd have about $37,000. That's the power of compounding. But I know raw math isn't what changes behavior. So you combine math with identity. Tell yourself, I'm an investor, automate it, and let the system do the rest. Here's a psychological trick that feels almost like cheating. Visualize your future self vividly. Research shows people who can feel connected to their future selves save more. Picture what retirement or financial freedom feels like. Talk to that future version of yourself. If you can emotionally connect to your future self, spending now becomes less attractive because it means harming someone you care about, your future you. If that sounds weird, it's exactly the lever you need. Another practical tool is to set anti-upgrade gates. Whenever you get a raise, don't increase your lifestyle for 3 months. Use the time to invest, save, and evaluate whether certain past purchases genuinely changed your happiness. This buffer period reduces hedonic adaptation and lets you make conscious choices instead of automatic upgrades. Now let's talk about subscriptions, the silent, incurable creep monster. Subscriptions feel like small costs but add up. Audit them quarterly. Use the friction trick. Remove your card from 1 or 2 auto-join services and force a manual decision. You'll be surprised how many services you won't miss. Let's address credit cards too. Cards make spending feel invisible, which undermines the mental accounting of real cost. Use a debit-style constraint or a card that rounds up and auto-invests the change. Turn the spending into savings without feeling the loss. You're not denying yourself, you're redirecting your brain's reward to something that grows. You'll notice a theme. The anti-creep tactics aren't about saying no to life. They're about making pleasure sustainable and aligned with your long-term goals. We're swapping impulsive highs for planned, repeatable satisfaction. That's how you get a rich life without inflating costs every time your income ticks up. At this point you might be thinking, this all sounds good, but I still love nice things. Good. You should. The aim isn't austerity, it's freedom. The real goal is to be able to enjoy expensive things when they matter instead of letting small, meaningless upgrades steal your financial future. Let me give you a short, action-ready checklist you can start applying within 48 hours. 1. Automate 10 to 20% of any income increase to investments or savings immediately. 2. Create a 72-hour rule for purchases over a set threshold like $100. 3. Pick one subscription to cancel this week. 4. Set one identity statement, I am a future-respecting spender, and write it where you'll see it. 5. Make one purchase ritual that feels celebratory and repeatable without being costly, like a monthly homemade tasting menu with friends. Do these 5 things and you'll feel control immediately. Now a quick myth-busting moment. You might have heard the cliché that you should only spend on experiences, not things. That's incomplete. The truth is, spend on what compounds your happiness. Sometimes a physical thing brings long-term joy, an instrument you practice, quality clothes that simplify life, tools that improve work. Other times it's experiences and relationships. The trick is to be intentional. Ask whether the purchase supports a habit, identity, or skill that creates ongoing value. If it doesn't, it's likely lifestyle creep. Before I wrap up, let's look at the big picture mindset shift that transforms all of this. Stop thinking of spending control as self-denial and start seeing it as self-authorization. You are authoring a life. Every time you choose to spend, you write a line in that story. If you want a chapter in the future where you have options, travel freedom, early retirement, financial buffer, you must write that chapter with today's choices. The coolest people I know aren't the ones with the flashiest cars. They're the ones who've designed their days to align with what matters. Time with family, meaningful work, and choices that feel like freedom. So what should you do right now? Hit pause on any impulse plan you have this week. Take 24 hours before any non-essential purchase over $50. Set up at least one automatic transfer from your paycheck into a savings or investment account. Pick one identity-based rule and live by it for 30 days. And if you found any part of this helpful, subscribe, because I'll keep bringing practical, brain-backed strategies to help you live richer, not just spend more. Finally, I want to leave you with one unexpected truth. When you stop reacting to status and start creating a life that feels good to you, fewer things will have the power to make you feel inadequate. The urge to upgrade fades when you're fulfilled, not emptied. That doesn't mean you stop enjoying life. It means you enjoy it smarter. If you stuck with me this far, you're already outperforming most people who watched finance videos. You're curious, and curiosity is the first step to change. Comment below with the first thing you'll cancel or the rule you'll try, and I'll read them. I love hearing real examples because real changes start small. Also, if you want a follow-up, tell me whether you want a checklist, a 1-month challenge script, or a deep dive into one of the psychological tricks we talked about. Remember, you weren't designed to be a perfect saver. You were designed to survive and feel connected. The good news is those systems can be guided. Reframe the problem from "I failed to resist" to "My environment and brain were designed this way." Then redesign the environment. Make saving easier than spending. Make values louder than ads. And most importantly, enjoy the process of becoming someone who spends with intention. Thanks for listening. If you like this, subscribe so Dave and I can keep building smart money habits together. And hit the like button if you want more psychology-backed finance tips. I'll see you in the next one where we'll test a 1-month anti-lifestyle creep challenge you can actually keep. Thanks for watching.